Hello again, friends and strangers. Welcome back to Pam Shenanigans. And the last was surprised that I wasn't disappointed. For today's video, it's that time of the year again where we all do our mid-year freakout book tag. And there are a total of 14 questions to this book tag. This book tag is always fun to do because at least you get to look back on your 6 months so far. And I think I have a pretty decent 6 months of reading. Not as much as I want to, wherein I could have wanted to read at least 50 books by the end of June, but now we're here. Anyway, so I'll be tagging the original creators of this book tag in the description box below, including the questions should you want to do this book tag as well. And let's get started. The first question is, best book you've read so far in 2023? And if it's a new author that I haven't read before, that would be The Death of Vivek Oji. The Death of Vivek Oji was a really emotional ride, despite knowing the inevitable ending of the main character dying. It's not a spoiler, it's part of the blurb. It's the whole lead up to that ending with different time jumps between Vivek's childhood and teenage life involving his family and his friends. When it comes to rereads though, that would still be The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. Pam from This Book Belongs to Pam and I are hosting a Hunger Games read-along this year, and the first book that we read was obviously The Hunger Games. And we watched the movie last May. So we'll continue with book 2, which is Catching Fire, this July, i.e. this month. Moving to question number 2. Best sequel you've read so far in 2023? I would have to say the sequels to The Risk, which is part of the Mindfuck series. The sequels were so good and very mysterious that you just won't be able to stop reading them. In my case though, I got sidetracked, get it, by other books and adulting in general, so it took me a while to finish the rest of the series. It's not a reflection of it being bad, it's actually really good, I just got really distracted. Question number 3. New release you haven't read yet but want to. Top of mind though, that would be Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I've seen mixed reviews about the book, but I'm still looking forward to reading it. Another one is Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murders by Jessie Q. Sutanto, since it involves a 60-year-old main character who finds a dead man in her tea shop. I've had good and bad experience with Jessie Q. Sutanto's writing, but generally good. I love Dial A for Aunties, so I'm still very much looking forward to reading their new book. Number 4, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. So I was looking at my 2023 release bookshelf on Goodreads, and I have 3 books added there that will be released the latter part of this year. One of them is Happiness Falls by Angie Kim, who is the author of Miracle Creek. That was enough for me to add this on my TBR since I really liked Miracle Creek. Happiness Falls will be releasing this August and is another thriller about a father who is missing and his family's search for the truth. Second, most anticipated for me for the second half of this year is There's No Way I Die First by Lisa Springer. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I mean, just look at the cover. I mean, stunning. This one is releasing this coming September, and it's a YA mystery thriller where a movie buff hosts a Halloween party at their estate, only to find out that she and her guests now have to survive a deadly party game. Third, most anticipated for the second half of this year is Our Share of Night by Mariana Enriquez. I also love how this cover doesn't give much on what the book is about, but it's very pretty. Anyway, our Sheriff Knight is a story about a father and a son who recently lost their wife and their mother, and they have to go back to her ancestral home to confront her family. But just looking at the blurb, it's gonna be supernatural, bordering on the occult, but with heavy emphasis on family drama. Question number 5. Biggest disappointment. I think my biggest disappointment would have to be Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I just generally didn't connect with this book. I had super high expectations because of how hyped this book was, but this may actually be one of those books that I just wasn't in the mood to read when I read it. So I found myself kind of annoyed at the characters, and I was generally just in a rush to get this book over with. But I may have to reread it again someday just to see if my opinion holds, or like if it really was just a matter of mood. Question number 6 is the opposite. What is my biggest surprise? I guess my biggest surprise would have to be Daisy Jones and the Six. While I did have high expectations from this book, it's a very well-loved book. A part of me was expecting to be disappointed. I'm really glad that I wasn't. So I was surprised that I wasn't disappointed. It's kind of like a very low bar. But I was surprised with how much I actually enjoyed this book. It was like the perfect book to read in the perfect format, because I read this in audiobook form and it was fucking amazing. The casting, the audiobook narration, everything. It's so fucking good. I highly recommend this book. And I haven't watched the TV show yet, but I'm not in a rush, which ironically was the reason why I actually picked Daisy Jones and the Six to read last March, because the TV show was about to launch. Moving to question number 7. Favorite new author, either a debut or new to you? That would be Akwaeke Emezi, who is the author of The Death of Vivek Oji. I will definitely check out their other works, as I've only heard good things about them in general, the book and the author. Question number 8 is newest fictional crush. This is kind of hard to answer since I didn't particularly gush about any characters in the books that I've read so far this year, but I guess the closest would be the character from the Mindfuck series, who is Lana, since she's a badass, she's super strong, messed up, but she knows what she wants, and I love that about her. Question number 9 is newest favorite character. This would have to be the mother from the I Think Our Son Is Gay series by Okura. She's an absolute gem and is super understanding of her son's journey to like finally accepting that he is gay. She is gonna be my role model for when I finally have my own child. Number 10, book that made you cry. I fortunately didn't cry over a book this year so far. I think the closest would be The Death of Vivek Oji. It was fucking emotional, but I wasn't breaking down or anything, but that was very close. I have also mostly read thrillers this year, so the odds of that making me cry is very fucking low. Then, question number 11 is a book that made you happy. Again, that would have to be the I Think Our Son Is Gay series by Okura. It's just super fucking wholesome and does touch on the topic of homophobia and internal homophobia, but in a really positive way, wherein it's not gonna throw trauma after trauma after trauma to your face. I really recommend this series. Question number 12. Favorite book to film adaptation that you've seen this year? Not so much on film, but manga to anime, since I haven't really watched or sought out film adaptations this year, but my answer would have to be Spy Family by Tatsuya Endo. Fucking love that series. I haven't caught up yet, but it's so good. It's so funny. Highly recommend it. Question number 13. What is the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received? Luckily, which says a lot, I didn't buy any books this year so far. Keywords, so far. but I guess the closest would be the book I received where I won it from a giveaway, which is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. When I first saw this, I was actually drawn in by the cover, not so much by the blurb. So yeah, this is the most beautiful book so far that I've received. And the last question. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? That would be the rest of the Hunger Games series, since again, we are doing a read along for that. But aside from that, I really want to make a dent on my physical TBR. Some of the physical TBR that I want to go through for the rest of the year is 1, The Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. Second is We Hunt the Flame. The next one is Nevermore, The Trials of Morrigan Crow. And Our Violet Ends, the sequel to These Violent Delights. And lastly, Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 11, which I bought last year, I think. So that's to motivate me to read more of Jujutsu, because season 2 is coming out very soon. So I don't really like making TBRs per month, since I'm a very moody reader, but I really want to read more physical books for the latter part of this year. It may not be all of these books that I just showed, but it has to be physical books that I already own. And that's it, friends and strangers, for my mid-year Freakout Book Tag this 2023. Again, I will be linking the original creators as well as the questions should you want to do it yourself in the description down below. I'll see you on my next video. Bye-bye.